Welcome everyone to another workshop here at the Test Camp. This is Test Prep Social Studies. We're going to discuss how learning and practicing test skills will empower your test confidence. Now, those of you joining us live online, you're welcome to contribute your comments anytime. We're going to get them up here on the discussion boards. And if you join us on demand directly through the Test Camp YouTube channel, well, of course, you can pause or restart or replay that video anytime. Now, this workshop is part of the Test Prep series, which focuses on single subjects for standardized tests. The Test Skills series combines subjects and help you become a better all-around test taker. A great place to start if you're new to the Test Camp. And if you want to learn more about teaching, the Future Educators program provides that opportunity. The motto here at the Test Camp is prepare, practice, then perform. You're beginning to prepare here today in this workshop. Practice the testing skills while learning the content at our training sites, then expect to perform with test confidence. All right, let's get started. To prepare at the Test Camp is to gain knowledge about the test and also knowledge about yourself. It's the first step in becoming a skilled test taker. We start by learning the test blueprint, which provides all the information you need to fully understand the test. And assessing your knowledge of the blueprint is the first indicator of how well you'll perform on the test. This can also be a good first step to creating what we call My Study Plan. This is simply a schedule that includes reviewing and studying test content. This plan will guide you through the testing skills training program, specifically for your test. All right, so our first step, though, is to identify the types of social studies questions you can expect to encounter on your test. Now, not the question format. We know that all the questions are generally multiple choice. We'll be discussing the social studies competencies, the knowledge and skills represented in the test questions. And to get started today at this workshop, let's invest a few minutes now here at your tables to share your personal history with each other. All right, sounds a little scary at first, but here's what we're going to do. A quick introduction around each table, and when it's your turn, you can share either a significant event that's happened in your life so far, or the most significant and important person or persons, or when it's your turn, you might instead choose to share something about an important group of people that you work with, or maybe that you've been associated with so far in your life. All right? So let's go ahead and have that discussion now about an event, a person, or a group. Okay, just choose just one. All right, now before we start, do we have a person who'd like to go first at each table? Let me just see real quick a show of hands. How about this table over here, way back here? Okay, just one to start the introduction at each table. All right, I'll come around and listen to the discussions, and then I'll come back here when everybody shared a significant part of their personal history. We'll get back as a full group. Hey, if you're joining us today live online, welcome. Share a piece of your personal history and we'll include it right up here on the discussion boards. And if you're joining us on demand by the Test Camp YouTube channel, this might be a good time to pause the recording and consider an event, a person, or a group that has been significant in your personal history. We'll be here when you restart the recording. All right, so we're back. Everybody up here, everyone? You just finished sharing some of your personal history, so let's discuss how your history is similar to history questions on a standardized test. Expect test questions to be about what? What do you think they're going to be based on? Well, you've got it. There it is. Events, people, and groups. We'll find that the groups can be small groups, maybe a few people, or large groups like entire civilizations. And in the history workshops here at the Test Camp, the discussion is more detailed about the significant people, individuals likely to show up on standardized tests. And this is a list from the U.S. History Workshop. We have a training center just for history. All right, so to organize our knowledge about events, people, and groups in history, we need to consider time, continuity, and change. All right, so think about those three words for a moment and your personal history. If you were asked to write, say, about the history of your life, you'd likely give your story as it unfolded over time. You know, what would be the first event? Okay, maybe when you were born would be a good example, right? Or Would you include significant person that came along early in your timeline and someone more recently? So when you put them in order, that's called chronology, and that's history. The next term used in the description is continuity. Now, do you recognize the word continue in there? Continuity means those things over time that pretty much stay the same. All right? So they stayed the same over time in your life. What are some things? Okay, how about over here? Do you mind telling us? I'll repeat your comment for those listening to the recording. So your family has remained continuous, okay, or there's been some continuity in your family. That's good. That's not true for everyone, but I'm glad it is for you. How about your hometown? Pretty much everybody lived in the same place? Oh no, you've moved quite a bit. So there's also some change then, right? And that takes place over time. Have events changed in your life? Have people come in and out of your life? Do you wonder where those old friends might be? Sometimes change isn't easy, is it? So, what will you be asked about your knowledge of U.S. history and world history on these tests? Well, we're going to look at some sample questions, not to find the answers, but to learn and practice the testing skills. So this is a workshop. Let's get to work. On your paper, that's right there in front of you on the tables we provided, write history and then number 1 through 3. And you'll see why in just a minute. Okay, looks like everybody's ready back there. All right, here's the first sample question. We always start down here at the answer set. So, a lack of representation, high prices on commodities, excessive taxation, the treatment of tea makers. I think I know what they're going to ask. Up to the stem of the question. All right. So what is the history question asking about? Details about an event. You're right, the Boston Tea Party, that's an event. Okay. So on your paper, number 1, write one of these 3 words about your level of confidence for finding the correct answer there. Yes. You're absolutely confident you know the correct answer. Maybe. You're not sure. Maybe your answer would be correct, but you're going to take a guess at it. Or no. You're just not familiar with this event. You're going to make a guess, but you're just not familiar with this to make an educated guess. So, yes, maybe, or no. All right, here's the second question. Again, start with the answer set. All right, look for keywords up there in the stem. And this is a history question about what? Then, not events, but, right, people, famous people. So on your paper, number 2, write one of these 3 words. Now here's a sample question, number 3. Start down there at the bottom. Read through the stem. And this question is about a large group of people. Civilizations. Probably a world history question. So again, what is your level of confidence? So how well would you perform if the entire social studies test was based just on this competency, on history? By show of hands, how many wrote down yes all 3 times? Nobody did. That is excellent. Very good, because being honest about your knowledge, that's key to passing tests, especially U.S. history and world history. Right. U.S. history and world history, they're the competencies used for level 1 over at the training center. All right, so let's move on to the next competency. Here's a description. Can anybody tell me what you think this is talking about? What's the competency? Yes, geography. It's the study of places and the relationship between people and their environments. Questions were constructed to test your knowledge on these main concepts. Have you heard about the 6 elements? Anybody here? Okay, nobody. Good. Well, let's learn about the 6 elements that test writers use as a guide to write their questions. All right. Are we all numbered 1 through 3 there? Okay. We're going to start with maps. Your knowledge about maps and maybe your ability to locate places on a map. Yeah, we'll have time to do the numbers in just a minute. Places and regions. So places, landmarks, cities, that sort of thing, regions, territories, countries, continents. Another element of geography is systems, physical systems. What do you think these might be? A physical system. Yes, the weather. There you go, the weather. Hurricanes, glaciers, climate change. There you go. And although it might sound like science, how plants and animals depend on each other, those are called physical systems, right? It's a circle of life kind of thing, right? All right, there you go. The fourth element, human systems. How humans get around the physical structure of the planet, like bodies of water, flat terrains, mountain ranges, and so on. That's all geography. Number 5, environment and society. The effects on humans on the environment and the effect of the environment on humans, both good and both bad. All right, so we have one more element. What do you think we've left out? Let's see. The uses of geography. So this is understanding the history of geography in the past and present to prepare for the future. So, for example, preparing for natural disasters, earthquakes, that sort of thing. All right. So those are the 6 elements. Some of you already started numbering 1 through 3. All right, so let's look at some sample questions built on this competency, geography. Okay, you know where to start down here. What is your level of competence? Would you absolutely get this correct? Maybe or no? Question number 2. And your level of confidence. All set? Level number 3, question number 3. Starting at the answer set, grasslands, deserts, oceans, rainforests. What are they going to ask about? All right, and your level of confidence. Did anyone write yes 3 times for geography? Anybody? No. You had it twice? Good. So you are becoming skilled test takers. You're being honest about assessing where you are right now. That'll help you when you need to go review or study. Now geography is added at level 2 over in the training site. Go ahead. Back here. I keep talking about levels. Yeah, there's 4 levels of training, so it gets more challenging as you move up. Starts with the 2 histories, then you add geography, and then we're going to add this next competency. See if you know what this next one would be. We add this at level 3. That's right, civics. All right, anybody know this guy here? Have you seen him before? Back here, you think you do? I'll repeat your answer for those listening to the recording. Go ahead. Yes, this is Bill. Well, yeah, it says it right there. How do you know him? From television, yes. Now, this is Bill from an after-school television show called Schoolhouse Rock that started about 50 years ago. It's not still on. You can still get the audio, though. If you do an internet search, type in "I'm just a Bill." All right, and he'll tell you a little bit about government. But today, Bill is reminding us that these are the main concepts used to make test questions: how government is designed to work, important documents, and issues related to citizenship. Okay, so go ahead, number 1 through 3, and we'll look through some sample questions. All right, here we go. Civics question number 1, starting down there at the answer set. Civics question number 2. And civics question number 3. And you know we're going way too fast here. This is not, we're just getting level of confidence. You'd get at least a minute per question on most of the standardized tests. So we're doing this completely different. This is about testing skills. This is not about finding the correct answer. If so, we would be eliminating questions. We'd be going through the whole problem-solving system like we do in the training. All right, so civics is added at level 3 at the training site. We now have one more competency, and it's described this way. Can you name this competency? Yes, you can. Good for you. Economics. And the main concepts are right there to see. We don't have to print those out. It's production, distribution, and consumption. All right, when you're ready, we're going to look through some sample questions. Looks like everybody's ready. All right, here's the first sample question built on the competency economics. Start down here at the answer set. Take your time. We'll give you a little more time on these. Level of confidence. Not the right answer. Level of confidence. Moving on to sample number 2. Economy, accelerator, import, export. Example number 3. Purchasing, stealing, spending, or consumption. Wonder what they're going to ask up there. Let's look and see. What's your level of confidence that you could eliminate a couple of those answers and probably find the right one? All right, so that's how it works. Anybody have at least one yes out of the 3? How many did? Okay, about half of us. That's good. Very good. Well, economics is a more advanced competency, and it's introduced at the highest level over at the training site. It's level 4. Okay, so here again are the main competencies used by professional test writers to construct most social studies tests, especially standardized tests. So to help you score higher in each area, we provide quizzes at the training center. Okay, and as you can see, history is divided up there. That helps you determine where you might need to review or study. So more for U.S. history or world history. All right, you'll also find a combined quiz down there, and this is an exercise that gets you ready for practice tests over at the training site. Okay, I got a question way back over here. Go right ahead. Okay, I'll repeat that. Yeah, good question. You can expect that on most standardized tests, questions representing all of the competencies will be mixed together. All right. However, there could be some standalone tests too. Have you heard some examples? What's a standalone test based on social studies? Civics. That's right. Civics is required in some states for graduation. So there's a training site created, yes, just for civics at the test camp. Yes, there is. All right. So yes, your pass does include admission to all the training sites. Sure does. Okay. All right. So what's a reasonable goal on for a grade on a standardized test? What do you think is a reasonable percent to pass? Well, here at the test camp, the required percent to pass is 80%, and that's actually a bit higher than most pass-fail standardized tests. So, for example, if your social studies test had, let's say, just 40 questions on it, maybe you had about an hour to do it, 40 questions, and the pass rate is 80%, then you know you have to get, there you go, right, 32 out of 40. But check the test information guide or check with your teacher or your advisor to get the percent to pass required for your next standardized test. It changes from state to state, and believe it or not, sometimes from person to person. All right, so you'll want to perform at your best. However, you're not required to make a perfect score. All right. All right, let's look at this another way. If you were facing a test this year based on only one of the competencies, which would you choose? In other words, if you had to take a quiz today, what would you be your best quiz, which is less challenging? But if you had to take an entire 40-question test and you got to choose, which would you choose? which is your least challenging area, which is your most challenging area. We'll come back and compare your ideas when we come back as a group. Hey, if you're here with us live online, thanks again for sharing your thoughts here today. We've been including them in the discussions. And if you're watching this pre-recorded video workshop, pause the recording and consider a little self-reflection here today. Which would you choose, and how do you prepare for a standardized test? Come back, join us anytime when you restart that video. All right, good discussion. We're back up here. We had some interesting talks there about strategies and how to review and study, especially for a standardized test. I think we've summarized by saying there's no right way to do this, just like we've talked about in the other workshops. However, we did agree that there is a need to go back and review for every standardized test. Another way to prepare for this test, now that you've gained some knowledge about what to expect, is to select the right tools or the resources that you might need to get ready, right? So expect to see this sign along the pathways when you're in your test skills training. Some of you have already done this, right? Have you seen this sign come up? Or these are encouraging messages posted from those who have gone before you. And in this case, the message is avoid spending your time and money on expensive resources that you just don't need. Commercial webinars are a good example. They're telling you to avoid paying for information that's free, and strategies are free. Expensive tutors and tutoring companies might be an option for more challenging tests, but usually not for these. And beware of those overpriced study guides that they're also telling us about. Is that true? Are there overpriced study guides out there? Have you seen these? Yeah, they're sold for profit. What have you seen? Over $40, $50. Boy, well, many study guides are available. They're either free or inexpensive. We're going to show you how in just a minute you can find those. And a more effective and inexpensive resource, if you're serious about doing well, is textbooks. You don't need to rely on a teacher or a tutor or some webinar. Now that you know the competencies being tested, you can use textbooks to review and study the content. And over at the Training Center in the My Resources area, expect to find the most popular and up-to-date tools right there for your success. Every single one of those is free. And again, many resources are also free or inexpensive that you can buy online. So beware. Instead of investing time and money on resources, invest time in yourself. Practice your test skills. Expect to gain confidence and expect to gain personal independence. Your pass provides admission to all of these training areas, including what you see up there at the top, what we call My Test. Now that's an activity that enables you to check your understanding of the test before you even take it, like we talked about here today. And you can also take a pre-test before you even get involved in the training. This is the Test Camp problem-solving system. It's the first step to finding a correct answer. Up there you can see is identify, and we've been doing that today, haven't we? We identify the questions by the competencies. Quizzes and tests provide an opportunity to practice your test skills while assessing your test content knowledge. And the quizzes, like we mentioned earlier, they're based on the competencies. Yes, go ahead, ask right over here. Yes, questions and answers change randomly each time on each attempt. Right. And they also do over in the test area too, where there's practice tests. They change randomly too. And there's a post test also. You pass that post test, you can work towards earning a professional test certificate, which guarantees that you're going to make a higher score on all your tests and pass. So you can expect to perform with confidence that comes from the knowledge and skills earned during the training. All right, you ready? Let's go ahead and get started. There's no better time than now to head on over to the Training Center, empower your test confidence.